Welcome to NFL Chaos with Jeremy. And my guest again is Jacob Bartley, as we will predict the games of week 14. How'd we do in week 13, Jacob?
Yes, so we were talking about this, and I did want to recap. So we went 8-5, I believe, or was it 8-6?
And so we lost the Monday night game thanks to
8-6, yeah,
Buffalo.
yeah. But hey, we're above 500. That's all that matters, right? We're winning more than we're losing, so that's good.
Without a point spread. So basically that means we're no better than anyone else. But that was for this week. There were a lot of surprises. I'm sure people lost the same games we lost. I mean, who would have had Detroit beating Minnesota, right?
Exactly. And most of the ones we lost were close ones. Like that could have gone either way. Maybe the games weren't close, but leading into the game, it could have gone either way, like Bengals and Chargers. And who knows if Joe Burrow doesn't mess up that pinky, which I hated watching that on TV. I couldn't look at it, and I was like, this guy's coming back in the game. He's crazy, but he's very tough, and maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit here.
Yeah. But let's look at next week's games and see if we could do a little bit better this week. I think we got a raw deal on some of these games. I do. I think we got a raw deal. There was some. I think that there were a lot of games where a lot of people would get wrong. But this week we're starting with a tough one. I want to say I looked at the Thursday game and I said, because Pittsburgh is going into Minnesota. Pittsburgh coming off a win, Minnesota losing to Detroit, but it's in Minnesota.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Let me see. So I wrote all of our, all of my choices down, and there were 4 games that I put an asterisk next to that were very difficult for me to decide. And this was one of them. So much so, I have a buddy that I podcast with on First Round Fantasy. His name's Justin, and he's a Vikings fan. I don't know how a Vikings fan grew up in Sacramento, but it is what it is. And I talked to him about it. I was like, hey, unbiased opinion, who do you think is going to win? And he says Vikings. And he was saying that, the emergence of KJ Osborne, he was their third wide receiver, but Adam Thielen is officially out for this game, who he's pretty much their red zone threat. Kirk Cousins looks to him a lot in the red zone. They don't have him. They also still are. We're pretty sure Dalvin Cook's not going to play. They have a short week, so it's tough to get him back on the field. Even after hearing my buddy's thoughts, I still got to go with the Steelers. I believe in Mike Tomlin. We didn't think they were going to beat the Ravens last week, and they did. And it's about the coaching for me. And honestly, if Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook were 100% healthy, full go, I would go Vikings, but that's the deciding factor for me. I'm going to go Steelers.
I thought Minnesota had a much more talented team. I think they do have a more talented team, but it just doesn't translate to wins for them. I hate that it's in Minnesota. That makes this harder. It makes it
hard.
Yeah. With you. If it was in Pittsburgh, I'd be a lot more confident, but I'm going to just say one word. I'm why I'm going with Pittsburgh. And that word is Watt.
Yeah. So, he's the man.
Probably one of the biggest game changers on defense in the NFL, without question, to me. I mean,
yeah, I tell Steeler fans all the time, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, he's just so ridiculous. He just changes the outcome of games. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh, and I'll start with the next game so people don't start to get weird about how we're agreeing with every pick. So far, we haven't disagreed on anything yet. I think that nobody is going to disagree that the natural choice here is you got to go with Tennessee in Tennessee against Jacksonville.
Absolutely. That's my choice too. And I'm glad you're doing that because we don't want people to think that, hey, we text beforehand, let's go with all the same picks. No, I got to go with Tennessee on this one. And, I make a lot of notes, or not a lot of notes, but I make little notes here when I make my choices. And the only note I wrote is it's the Jaguars. So, I believe Tennessee's at home, right? Yeah. Tennessee's at home. I don't know what Urban Meyer's doing over there. They had a couple weird wins. Those wins weren't necessarily great wins. They're 2 wins. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Tennessee.
All right. Sounds good. And how do you feel about New Orleans going to MetLife to play my Jets?
when you're talking about football, whether it's NFL analysis or fantasy analysis, you have to be, you have to go with your gut and go with, you have to be unbiased. And I'm sorry, Jeremy, I don't want to, I'm not just aiming to please you or aiming to please your fans, but I got to go with the Saints, man. I got to go with the Saints. Look, they lost 5 in a row. I think they're hungry for a win. I think they're still not out of it because the league is so close, right now. So they're still not, even the Seahawks aren't out of it, which is crazy. But also they could have Alvin Kamara back. So I just think they're so hungry for a win. They have a great coach still, and they got their man back most likely. So I'm going to go with the Saints. What do you got for me, Mr. Chaos?
Well, this might surprise you. If the Jets were completely healthy, I'd go with my team. So before I spat out and say I'm going for the Jets, we don't got our starting running back in Michael Carter, young, energetic, energizes the team. We have day-to-day on LDT, our new right guard. So that means we might see more of GVR. That's never a good thing. Corey Davis is out for the year. Elijah Moore is day-to-day, and I'm having a bad feeling because it's a quad. So especially after what happened to Corey Davis when they brought him back too soon. So we're talking about a lot of bang-up guys. There was a time where in the beginning of the year where I wouldn't have thought it was a big deal because I would have said, good, Mims will get snaps. But now I don't know, man. I'm no longer confident. I love Mims and I want him to do well, but I can't keep thinking every week it's going to be his week. I know he should get opportunities, but maybe they'll just go with Berrios, Crowder, and go with guys with.
Yeah.
I just don't know. So I'm gonna have to say New Orleans, especially because I don't see how the Jets are gonna stop the screen pass and the run. They have not proved that they could stop it. And New Orleans has a certain running back who is pretty good at screens and running. So
yeah, and that's why you're the Jets guy. You know more about their players than me. So
yeah, there's just a lot of injuries and they just haven't proven they could stop that type of play. Like
it's crazy to me, going into the year, once Crowder came back, they had so much wide receiver depth, and now everybody's banged up. I think Corey Davis is on IR, right?
Oh yeah, he's out for the year. So I mean, that's just
goodness,
and that's that's just Jets. But I can't even blame that on bad luck for the Jets. They brought him back too soon, and I knew they did, and I was worried about it when he came back. Back so fast from a groin or quad, like these injuries, you need to give it an extra week. So, but they didn't. Atlanta going into Carolina. That's an interesting game. I'm going to go with Atlanta. That's Christian McCaffrey being out for the season and just is going to, I just think Carolina is collapsing and falling apart. I think they're going to crumble. They're a different team. Without that running back, they're a different team. And, the Cam Newton thing was nice the first week when he got a couple of touchdowns, but I'm jumping off that Cam Newton train for sure.
So, yeah, this is funny because I'm going Falcons too. And this one was close. This was one of my close matchups that I couldn't decide on. But my tiebreaker, because Atlanta's not great either, right? But my tiebreaker is the Panthers just fired their offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, who, look, honestly, I get a little upset when they fire somebody as a scapegoat because it's not his fault that things are going wrong in Carolina. But of course, the coach, Matt Rule, has to put the blame on somebody, right? So he fires Joe Brady, who was Joe Burrow's offensive coordinator at LSU when they had that crazy season, him and Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Or he was his quarterback coach, I believe, at LSU. And a lot of people prior to, even a month ago, people were saying, oh, Joe Brady's going to get an NFL head coaching job next year. And now he's almost fired.
The Jets. It was almost the Jets this year.
And now he's fired. I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense to me. Anyways, that's besides the point. But I think, I don't know who's taking over offensive coordinator duties, but I think they're just going to be, a little rusty, getting into things. So I think the Falcons are going to take this one.
When I started questioning the whole excitement about Matt Rule and Joe Brady, and everybody was saying how good they are, I questioned it the moment they went out and got Sam Darnold. The moment they did that, I said, It's either they're brilliant and they're gonna and that every Jet fan because is doomsday because of the trauma that we've all experienced. So it's so common for Jet fans to say, "Oh, look, he's gonna be great. I know it. I know it." And I said, "It's Sam Darnold, man. These I don't care. What did these two guys do in the NFL?
Yeah.
This guy Matt Rule and Joe Brady. No. If you're trading a second and a fourth for Sam Darnold, something in their judgment was off. I had a feeling the whole time. I was worried when they were 3-0, Carolina. I was like, oh my God, maybe I'm wrong. But no, they as soon as CMC went down, Sam Darnold showed his true colors. So I'm not surprised that Joe Brady was fired. I agree with you, though. I think he was the scapegoat. I think it's
exactly, yeah,
the problem. But I think Joe Brady was doing the best with what he had. And when you give me Sam Darnold as my quarterback, all I'm going to have is dinking and dunking and getting rid of the ball and letting my running back do the work. That being said, so I think we both agree we're going with Atlanta. It's going to be tight, though. It's certainly not an easy one. Carolina has a great defense. So I'm going to pass it over to you for Detroit at Denver.
Detroit at Denver. Hey, we easily went against Detroit last week. I'm going to do it again this week. Look, the Lions, they got the winning out of their system. Okay. Now it's time to tank and get that high draft pick. I'm going with Denver. Denver's a really good team. And they held their own with the Chiefs until the end there last week. So I'm going to go with Denver.
Yeah, you have to go with Denver there. I'm happy for Detroit. It was a great moment. I don't know if you saw the locker room celebration. It was very emotional, and I was glad for them. I like those kind of stories. I like that the owner was in there celebrating and the real joy of winning and the real look of what a real NFL locker room looks like. But just not against Denver. It's shocking that Denver,
especially Denver at home.
Yeah, Denver at home. They're so much better at home, and 6-6 is shocking because they're deep. It really is surprising to me. Denver, they've struggled, but they're not gonna allow Detroit to come into their house and beat them. So yeah.
And they have an emerging star running back. His name is Javonte Williams, and he's gonna run all over the Lions. So.
That's why you're the fantasy guy.
Oh yeah.
So we got San Francisco coming off a brutal loss. To cool them down. It was
that one hurt, man. That one hurt.
Painful loss going into Cincinnati. It's probably one of the most inconsistent teams that I've seen this year. The most hard to predict team gets crushed by San Diego at home. Lost to the Jets. At one point they were rolling and doing great. I'm going to go with the 49ers because I think that the 49ers are a hot team. I think they ran into a division rival that was angry and desperate for a win. So I think there were certain circumstances to that game. It could have easily went the Niners' way. I think they misused their personnel. Some people don't agree with me, but I think that Trey Lance should have been in there at the end. I think he's such a dangerous.
We talked about that in person. There were a few plays where they should have brought Trey Lance in.
Yeah. I definitely agree and think that that should have been the case. I know if they were playing the Jets and they were at the 3-yard line, the last thing I would have wanted to see as a Jets fan is Trey Lance come onto that field. So I'm going to go with San Francisco in that. I think the Niners are a better team than the Bengals.
Hey, Jeremy, I'm waiting for us to disagree, man. But here's the thing I'm going 49ers too. I switched this pick about an hour ago. I had it in my notes. I was going to go Bengals. And then I started to do a little more research. Joe Burrow's still dealing with that finger. And the thing for me is, look, I watched every 49ers game, and we have to control the game. We have to control the pace of the game to win. We don't do well, especially with Jimmy Garoppolo coming from behind and winning. Or if, it's fourth quarter, we need a game-winning drive. I do not trust our team, our offense in those situations, especially if we're missing a player like Deebo Samuel. But the thing is, and I was ready to go Bengals, honestly. I really was. But then I'm thinking, okay, if Joe Burrow's not 100%, maybe he doesn't even play. I got to go with the 49ers for that reason.
Okay, sounds good to me. We're on the same side again. Let's see if that sticks. Chicago at Green Bay. I'll let you go and talk about this one.
Yeah, again, my notes say, come on now. It's got to be the Packers. They're at home. against the Bears. And I heard somebody else talking about this. Why is Bears at Packers the primetime game on Sunday night? Should it? And the NFL can flex these games now. They can move them. So I'm wondering why they don't move one of these juicier matchups, but I'm going Packers. It's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I think it's just Justin Fields coming back. If he didn't play, maybe.
True. That's a good point.
They may have moved it if he didn't play. If Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing and it was Love versus, versus
Love versus Dalton,
it would have been moved. But you got to take Green Bay on that. I hope Justin Fields does well. I'm expecting it to be a tough game for him, not because I don't believe in Justin Fields in the long term. I think he's a dynamic player. I'm a big fan of his. I think this is an opportunity more like this is going to be an educational game for Fields. So hopefully, I don't expect it to go great for him, but maybe like the game against Pittsburgh, he'll find some success later in the game and get improved throughout the game, show some shine a little bit. But in the end, I don't think he's ready yet to go into Green Bay and get a victory in Lombardi Field.
Agreed.
Yeah, on the frozen tundra. So I think we're both in agreement with Green Bay there. Baltimore going into Cleveland. I just, I have to go with Baltimore on that. Even though it's in Cleveland, Cleveland's the favorite by like 2.5 points. I know we don't get the spread. We're not focused on the spread. I'm going to go with Baltimore because they're going to have to turn around after last week. They're a playoff bound team. And I just think that Baker Mayfield is hurt. There's a lot of noise going on around there and a lot of distraction. And it's just not really going well for Cleveland overall this season. 6-6, very disappointing year. Just going with the team that is accustomed to winning.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going Ravens, and Baker Mayfield has been banged up for weeks, almost like over a month now. And he's not 100%. And the coach says he's not going to bench him. I mean, I don't think you should bench him for, not playing well. You should bench him to get him healthy. They should have benched him a couple of weeks ago just to get him healthy, but and I think the Ravens are upset about last week losing to the Steelers in that close game. I'm going Ravens.
Yeah. All right. And how do you feel about the Raiders going into Kansas City?
So this one's not as easy as you think. The Raiders play the Chiefs very, very tough. And I'm sure a lot of Raider fans too. I have a lot of family members and a lot of friends who are Raiders fans, and a lot of kids at the school that we work at who are Raiders fans. And they get so mad when I say the Chiefs are going to smash the Raiders this week. I'm going with the Chiefs.
They're just a hot team. Everybody 5 weeks ago, rewind 5 weeks ago, and this game's a toss-up. And, everybody's worried about the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and the year he's having. But they've caught fire now. They're winning again. They're, they maybe not as impressively as everyone wants. But you know what? In Kansas City, Andy Reid, so even not the Patrick Mahomes we saw of the past years, it looks like he's playing better each week. It's not as easy for him as it was, but even not the best Patrick Mahomes, don't forget about their coach, Andy Reid. Don't forget that they're at home. They made some additions. They shuffled their team a little bit, and we've seen nothing but win since. And I think there's only so much adversity Oakland can overcome. So in Kansas City, I'm going to have to go with the Chiefs too.
And don't forget, ever since the whole Henry Ruggs things, Derek Carr struggled. And also there might be, without Darren Waller, their best offensive player again. So
yeah. Now, Dallas going into Washington, another difficult game. I mean, it's a division rivalry. It's always a tough game to call when you have division rivalries. The rivalries in this division in the NFC East is just incredible. I mean, these teams, the fans, they hate each other. I think the one thing that every team but Dallas has in common is they all look at Dallas as the team they hate the most.
Yeah.
So Washington, there's backup quarterback, doesn't look like he, any worse than Fitzpatrick would have been. He might be better. People are starting to.
A lot of people like Taylor Heinicke. This guy.
And Washington's defense has come on really strong. I mean, they're looking good. But at the end of the day, I just have to go with Dallas. I have to go, Dak
Wow.
Prescott and just they'll be pumped up for the game. And, I just can't see Dallas. It's hard to go against Dallas in that game because they just have the better personnel.
I agree. I have Dallas, and I wrote down gut feeling this because this one can go either way. I think Washington has been really hot. I believe they won 4 in a row, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, to get
Yeah.
to 6-6. But Dallas is about to put a wet blanket on that. I'm going Dallas.
Yep. Yep. And it's going to be a tough game because I do like Washington's coach a lot better. I like Rivera better, but we'll see.
Yeah, true. Oh, I love Ron Rivera, especially over Mike McCarthy.
Yeah. So now we got the Seattle Seahawks without Jamal Adams for the rest of the year. And you know what I'm going to say. Not that he was much of an impact for Seattle anyway this year. But still a leadership guy, a guy they look to that's now gone. They're coming off a very big win, though, obviously. They played at a very high level, I felt, last week. And they're going into Houston against a team that is clearly not very good. So for me, it's simple. But I'll let you give your pick first.
Oh yeah, I gotta go Seattle. As much as I wish I could go Texans, I hope the Texans beat the Seahawks. I'll be so glad if I'm wrong on this. I gotta go Seattle. They really believe that they can win out and make the playoffs. And if they believe that, they're gonna try to play like it. So I'm going Seattle.
Yeah, me and my brother covered the game live, and boy, were we rooting hard for the Niners. And one thing we had to respect and see is I've never seen a head coach work so hard to keep his players alive and active and believe.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Carroll was the Energizer Bunny. He was running around the sideline, pumping up the players, coaching like I've never seen, the fake punts, like doing everything within his power not to let that team lose. He's not going to let them go into Houston and lose.
No way.
Seattle. So the Giants are going to play against the very impressive in Cincinnati Chargers. The Giants are down to a third-string quarterback. They just signed, maybe you'll remember who, but they had Fromm, the backup last week, who's never. I don't think either quarterback on their. The quarterback they picked up, and the name is escaping me, has never. I don't think he's taken an NFL snap.
Yeah,
in a regular game.
You're not talking about Jake Fromm, right? You're talking about the other guy.
The other guy, yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm forgetting who they picked up. It's a name I knew. I recognized it from college or whatever, but I mean, I don't see any chance. I mean, the Giants and the Jets, man, the one thing that these teams have in common is they just can't stay healthy. I mean, the injuries are just.
Other than the city?
They're buried. I mean, they're just buried in injuries. I mean, it just never ends with them. So, yeah, the Chargers, Justin Herbert's just too good. Easily Chargers.
Yeah, we got to go Chargers. I mean, we thought the Bengals were going to beat the Chargers last week, right? And boy, were we wrong. So yeah I got to go Chargers here. Easy.
We're not suddenly going to think the Giants are going to.
Yeah.
So now we have another tough game, I think, because I think Buffalo.
These last two are not easy. These last two are so hard.
I mean, Buffalo just took a devastating loss against a team that attempted 3 passes the entire game. But there was, that game favored New England, and here's why. That wins, taking away the normal conditions of a football game, favors a coach like Bill Belichick. When you're talking about one of the greatest coaches of all time, it's just plays to his advantage when there's a wild card, when there's a variable. And it definitely,
look, in our defense, when we're doing predictions on Wednesday, right? That game was Monday night. We're not looking at the weather report
right
4 days ahead of time.
I'm
honest. I bet you if we both would have known the weather conditions, I bet you we would have went Patriots, honestly, because we would have figured that's how the game would have played out.
Well, I would have been figuring if the wind was going to be that bad, then you have a situation where New England has the much better running game, the more of the dinking and dunking game. Anyway, I didn't know that he would throw passes, but I would have assumed it would have been dink dunk, tons of running. And I would have guessed that Buffalo would be, would have a very compromised Josh Allen, the strongest part of their game, because he can't do his thing if he can't throw the ball. without worrying about the win. So yeah, it definitely changed the conditions. I don't know which way I would have went for sure. I'm not going to make that claim, though it may have been very different. And that's what makes this game so hard. I'm going to go with a flyer here. I'm going to say Buffalo takes this. I think they need it more. And I think they're going to find a way to win this game.
Jeremy, we officially have our first disagreement here. And I'll tell you what, I went back and forth on this one so much. On one angle, I was like, ooh, the Bills are going to be pissed off about that loss. Like, Josh Allen's going to light them up. But then I'm like, but it's Tom Brady and the Buccaneers at home. I'm going with the Bucs.
He's going with the Bucs, and we have a disagreement. Finally,
I'm glad we have a disagreement. I don't want people to start getting fishy,
Right. No, it's good. It's good. I like it. It gives us a little something to jabber about on Monday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And now we go into our Monday night game, and we have the Rams going into Arizona, and I'll let you start that one up.
Yeah. So this one's tough because it depends how you look at things, but on paper, you could say the Rams have a better roster, if you consider both sides of the ball. But the Cardinals have been playing so damn well. And Kyler Murray is just from another world, man. This guy is insane. And he can just do so many things. Like if he can't beat you through the air, he's going to beat you on the ground. And it's just tough. And the Rams have kind of been struggling. They're not consistent. They haven't been consistent basically with the teams that they've been playing. And basically my tiebreaker is the Cardinals are at home. So I'm going Cardinals.
Okay. I'm going to say, wow, we're very streaky because now we're going to be on a new streak. I'm going to take the Rams.
Oh, okay.
And not for great reason. Not for great reason other than an emotional gut feeling again. I'm going with my gut.
Yeah.
That I don't see Arizona being, they're very good, but it's hard for me to say they're going to go right to being 15-2 or 14-3. And I see this is a chance for Los Angeles to make that division race really much tighter. And I'm just seeing that, I'm just getting that gut feeling that this isn't over, that the pressure's going to get to Arizona. Maybe the Rams are going to push to the fight for that division. I think they know if they lose this game, the division is gone. And I think they're going to
absolutely. Yeah.
I think they're going to make a push. So I'm going to say the Rams are going to steal that game. It's going to be really tight. It's probably going to be a thriller. It's going to be one that, most any NFL fan, whether it's your team or not, is going to want to watch that game. There's no question about that.
Absolutely. I'm glad we ended on a high note. 2 disagreements, and now we can watch those matchups to see who was right. So
yeah, maybe
that's
exciting. And if we split them, we'll have the same record.
Yeah, so we'll see. That should be exciting.
And what's interesting is those will be the last 2 games of the week. So it'll be decided by the last 2 games of the week.
Yeah,
which is kind of
crazy.
Interesting. Yeah. So there you have it. Those are our predictions. Tell us what you think in the chat. Jacob, tell them what you got going on. And I will, again, I got to put your link. Look for his link. I'm going to change it. If you watch by the time.
Yeah, so speaking of that, so we just earlier today, we got our custom URL from YouTube.
Nice. So that'll be much easier.
There's a certain couple milestones you have to have 100 subscribers, etc. There's a few things. So it's youtube.com/first-round-fantasy. You can find us there. And I'm so I haven't got to say that yet. That's exciting. So we go weekly podcast every Wednesday evening. So check us out. Yeah.
And I am getting close to 100 subscribers. So help me out. Get this to your Tell them to help me out and subscribe. Give me a sub, people, because I need to get to 100 so I can be NFL Chaos by Jeremy.
Yes. It's so just so nice to say. It's like your own website, right? youtube.com/first-round-fantasy. And by the way, I didn't say this last time, but if anybody, they want to hear my thoughts on fantasy football or NFL, they can find me at JacobFRF Sports. And I know you posted that in the video last time too, so thank you.
Cool. Awesome. And yep, I did put that up there. And I will be also, you can look for me, look for obviously this channel, NFL Chaos by Jeremy. I'm also on My friend John Post has a show, Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. Maybe I'll get you guys together one day on the show. It'll be interesting.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
To merge the two of you. Because I'll definitely have John on some of my shows too, on some other shows. But I'll be on at 7 p.m. tomorrow on Thursdays. I usually make his show. Sometimes I don't. I'm always with him at 12 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, right before the games. I am on with John and another couple of his friends. He's got a Rams fan on his show with him. He's got a Vikings fan. It's a nice mix of, and then you got 2 Jet fans. It's odd and weird, but it's a nice chemistry. So you can check me out there. And I'm also a Green Bean Jets fan. I'm on his channel a lot, whether I'm in the chat or I'm in the backstage, and then he brings me on at the end, or whether I'm on Jet Nation with him. That's another channel, Jet Nation. All this is in my About. If you go into the About channel, you can find all these spots. Me and Green Bean call the Jets games together. And even if you don't like the Jets, you don't want to miss us together. It's hysterical. It's a lot of fun. I usually join him sometime, either the beginning of the game or sometime during the second or third quarter. Anyway, that's all I got to say. That's a lot. So it's
oh yeah.
Let's go football. It's Thursday night, baby. Let's do this. Let's have fun. Get the wings ready. We're ready to party.